Good morning, everyone. This is Nana for Tangle Time Arts, and today we're taking a look at the tangles called Tipple and Quipple. What's the difference? Well, they use the same circular stroke, but as we'll see, there's just a little bit of a difference in the size and placement of these circular strokes, these orbs. For this project, you'll need either computer paper or two white tiles. You'll need a black pen. I'm using a Sakura Pigma Pen 05, which is an apprentice pen, my favorite. You'll also need a number 2 pencil and a tortillon or a cotton swab. All right, let's get started. We'll start with one of the tiles here, and let me adjust my camera just a little bit. There we go. All right, let's take our pencil and we're going to start with our 4 corner dots here. And then we're going to connect those. And we're just drawing a line from dot to dot and working our way around. And you want to put that in there kind of lightly. And my lines are not straight at all. I actually like to add a little bit of a curve to them. All right, once we have that, we are going to draw our string. And for this, I'm going to do kind of a curved shape. And let me adjust the light a little bit. And then we're going to aura that. I'm going to aura that on the inside like that. Okay, so I have a nice curved shape. Now I'm going to set the pencil aside and pick up my pen. And anywhere within this space, I'm going to add one of those circular strokes, which we call an orb. I'm just randomly putting one in, and this one is almost the size of the tip of my pen. It's a little bit bigger. Orbs in Tipple can be any size. My next one, which will be adjacent to that one, is going to be a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to put in another one. This one's a little bit smaller. And another one, it's smaller still. So you can pack them in together as tightly or as loosely as you'd like, and you can vary the size of them. And we're just going to fill in this shape with our little orbs. Now it's nice if you can go around it a second time. It just defines the orb better. I'm going to make another slightly larger one here and a tiny one. This is a great tangle if you need to fill a space, because you can fill really any shaped space. Fit a larger one in there. And as we work our way around, you can see there are these little spaces in here, and that's fine. Don't worry about them for now. We'll take care of those later. So just continue making these circular orb shapes. If you want to go around that shape twice, go ahead. It's not required, but it does define them better. And I'm just deciding on size as I go along. So I'm not putting a lot of thinking into it. It's more of an intuitive process where if I'd like a larger orb, I put a larger one in. And if I'd like a smaller one, I put a smaller one in. I'm going to rotate my tile a little bit so that I can fill in this area here. And also, I'm not looking for that perfect circle. My orb shapes are very organic. Rotating again. So you can fill a large space pretty quickly, especially if you're not packing them in tightly. I do tend to pack them in kind of tightly, but you could work a little more loosely with your orbs. I feel like putting them in kind of tightly gives it kind of like a cobblestone effect. So tipple, which is what we're doing now, is one of the very basic tangles, one of the original tangles, and I actually use it a lot. You may or may not, but I actually do use it a lot. Okay, we've made our way through the space. And then what I like to do at this point is go back in. And this is optional, but I like to go back in and fill in these little, most of them are like little triangles, but I like to ink those in as best as I can. Sometimes you get a little square in there. And if you don't feel like inking these in, you don't have to. Just follow your heart and do whatever feels best for you. And I'm also inking in along the edge here. And I'm going to rotate so that it's more comfortable for me to work. So you can experiment with packing these orbs in loosely or more tightly, or you can even use a variation. You can have them packed in tighter in some areas and then a little looser in others. So play around with it, experiment with it, make it your own. So by adding the ink to those spaces in between there, you can see the orbs really kind of, they're better defined. All right, once we have that filled in like that, and you can see how quickly that goes, I'm going to put the cap on my pen, and I'm going to pick up my pencil again. And we're just going to shade this one really simply, and I'm just going to kind of go along the edge here. So I'm adding a little bit of graphite to the outer edge. And I'm also adding a little bit of graphite to the inner edge. Like that. And then for some of the larger orbs, I'm just adding a little bit of a highlight. And I like to keep it always on the same side. So I'm doing the lower right. And I'm just doing that for the ones that are a little bit larger. And then once I have that done, I'm going to pick up my tortillon and I'm going to start blending. The easiest way to do that is start with the tip of the tortillon at the ink line. And while you're rubbing that back and forth, you're also pulling it towards you. And we're going to do the same thing on the inside here. And then we'll go back in for these larger orbs and kind of smooth that out. Like that. And that's tipple. That's all there is to it. But you can see it's a really nice filler. It goes pretty quickly, and you can get this great, to me, it looks like a cobblestone effect. And you can play around with the shading. And that's on the back. Let's make sure we note that this is Tipple, Tipple. If you would like to add your initials, your chop to this one, I think I am just going to tuck it in here into this orb. That. All right. And now let's take a look at a similar tangle called Quipple. I'm going to put that over there for a moment. We need our second tile, and we're going to start the same way. We're going to set it up the same way so that we can see the difference when we're finished. Okay, so we need our 4 corner dots, and we're going to connect them. So that we have kind of like a nice frame. And then we'll put our string in, and I'm going to try to do a similar shape that we did. Just kind of blocking that in. But for this one, I'd like you to visualize. I'm going to put this aside for a second. I'd like you to, once you have your string in, let me go over that a little darker for you so you can see better. Once you have that in, I'd like you to kind of visualize a line in the center. You do not have to put this line in, but just kind of visualize that. And that'll be important in a minute. Can you see that? Let's see, does it kind of focus better? It's a little bit faint, but it's in there. It's right in the center. I'm going to set my pencil aside and pick up my pen. So for Quipple, we're using those same circular strokes and we're making orbs, but we're going to start in the center with, and I like to start in the center. So we're in the center of the space along this imaginary center line, and we're going to put a larger orb like that. So this one's a little bit bigger than my pencil tip. That's fine. And then I think I'll go over that a second time to define it better. And then next to it, along this imaginary center line, I'm going to put another large orb. And then I'm going to do that again. So I'm keeping these larger and following the center line. Now come over here on this side. And this is just going to be like a half one. Well, why not? Let's just go outside of our line here. That's fine. Once we have our center of larger orbs, they kind of look like pearls a little bit. Then we are going to come back in with smaller orbs of varying sizes. And this is going to give us a different effect from original Tipple. And as we fill these orbs in, you'll see why. And I kind of move around. I work in random areas. I just kind of enjoy the process of filling in these orbs. I'm going to rotate a little bit. I'm not being too concerned about this pencil line. And we can actually fill in a few more. All right, and then we're going to do the same on the other side. Just going to rotate. I'm just going to start up here. So as you can see, um, we put the smaller orbs around the larger ones, but we've got this like string of almost like a string of pearls down the center. And we just keep filling in with these smaller sized orbs. All right, let's see if we'd like to add some more. And again, you don't have to worry about staying within the line. You can actually come outside of these lines a little bit with some orbs just to add some interest like that. All right, so this has a very different look to it, and we can add to the difference by adding an aura around the whole shape. So before we shade, so as you can see, we started with the same type of shape, but they look very different. And now we're going to add an aura, and then we're going to shade. So really quickly, we're going to come in here and aura around these shapes, around our little orbs. Just for some added interest so that you know there are these other options out there. I'm going to just stick with that one aura, but you could add more if you'd like. And now I'm going to put the cap on my pen and pick up my pencil. And I'm going to keep it similar in that I'm shading these outside edges of the orbs. Oh, you know what? I think I would like to actually pick up my pen again. And again, it's optional. I don't always do it, but I think I actually would like to fill in these just to keep it consistent with our previous one. So let's hold on a minute and fill in these little spaces. If you'd like to, I'd like to invite you to do this if you would like to. Uh, Yeah, I don't always fill in the little spaces, but it does add dimension. And you can even add them after shading, actually. But I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. Here we go. It's very quick. It does make a difference. All right. Now we're going to put our cap on our pen again and pick up the pencil again. And first we're doing our outside edges. And along this one too on the inside. And then what I'm going to do is also very lightly along the outer part of the larger orbs, I'm adding some graphite. And here the graphite kind of comes together because it's a very small space. And then we're also going to do that along the inside here. And then we'll add some highlights to our larger orbs here. It was keeping it on the same side, and in the other tile we did the lower right, so I'm going to keep that the same. And when we've added enough graphite, then pick up your tortillon and again start with the blending. So your little orbs on the outside are going to be pretty dark. All right. And then we'll get this edge. And again, along the larger orbs. And then we'll come back in and soften the highlights. Like that. And we can just take our tortillon and add a little shading to the outer edges there. And we have our other tile. We could do that with that as well, just a little bit. You can just add that in with the tortillon. So here we have Tipple and Quipple. We can put our initials in here, and I'm going to tuck it into this orb here. That. Flip that over. And this one's Quipple. And you can fill in with your name and also the date. And this was our weekly tangle. And you can do that for the other one too. So let's get these side by side here. And so we have Tipple, the original, and then we have Quipple. And And I do like this nice pearl effect in the center here, like a string of pearls. But they're very similar, using just one circular stroke, the orb, or sometimes people call it a perf. But when you pack them together, it fills the space really nicely and very quickly, and it has this really nice effect to it. I'm not sure which one I like better. I probably use Tipple more often than Quipple, but that's up to you. So take a look at both of these, practice with them, make them your own. Try using color with them, or you could go back in and add color to just some of them and see how that looks. You can really have fun with this. All right, thank you for joining me today. It's been really fun looking at this simple circular stroke in Tipple and Quipple. I'll see you next time. Have a great day. And remember, I love you all. Bye.